Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode is another exciting episode where I get to go back into the past and look at the pictures. Today's topic is going to be San Diego Comic Con 2004. Okay, now I've just recently met up with one of my friends that were on the trip, and we discussed some of the things and some of the memories that we had on that in that trip. And so I was not going to be able to use too much of the audio that was used in the hub because just we were in a restaurant and I was just using it as to sort of take notes and that kind of stuff and physical reminders of stuff. So can't use too much of that for the interview or anything like that. But it gives me an indication. I did remember that we did trade our cameras and all the different pictures and stuff that was in the cameras, so that we're able to do some of that. So I'll show you some of that kind of stuff in this particular video. All right. So again, before we begin, don't forget to go down below, click like, and click subscribe. But about 60% of you are already subscribed, and I really appreciate that. And again, hopefully the rest of you, I hope I've earned your subscription, and you go hit that red button, subscribe, and also maybe click that notification bell, because obviously YouTube is starting to get better on recommending my videos now. But for the mass majority, you won't know when I release videos until you get that notification ring. All right, so go ahead and do that. Anyway, so the year is 2004, and this is one of the times that we get to go down to San Diego for a trip down to the Comic Con. And this year, I knew I had from the previous year bought the tickets to go to San Diego Comic Con. So I definitely, from 2003, I definitely knew that I wanted to come back for 2004. Now I knew that it was going to be sort of a last moment. I didn't have the same people that was going around, and and so we decided, oh, look, let's gather some friends, and then just sort of we'll go down together, okay? And so anyway, I got some pictures, and I got a little bit of audio, and I'll go over some of the stories that will go there, and and I'll explain some of them as that. And I think there's probably enough for a couple episodes here of some of the material that I got. So we'll go back a little in the past and see what it was like to go to San Diego Comic Con during the height of anime, the anime boom, shall we say. All right, so let's begin.
You probably watched it all, but like I didn't watch any Devilman until Devilman Crybaby on Netflix. I watched it 2 years ago. That thing ruined me, man. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what's so funny? Generally speaking, I don't actually like the artwork in Devilman.
I don't like it. It's just the story was really compelling.
Yes, but it had a good story.
But the last arc just wrecked my mind.
Yeah.
It was.
The one I like better was Devilman Lady.
Okay.
Which is I guess the one that sort of came after Devilman. Devilman Lady and Devilman. But yeah, because then it got into this weird. The angel and the devil and the angel, and the angel was the bad person.
Oh,
and Devilman Lady was supposed to be the one protecting the lady and whatever. So this huge weird mix, and it got into and all the characters, and virtually all the main characters are female. Female angel, the female devil man lady or whatever, right?
Yeah,
so it's just this weird.
I watched it. I'm like,
and
the whole story was really good until the very last part, where it just like.
Yeah.
It was actually sad and traumatizing, but I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. But no, Devilman is one of those little strange series for me where I really like. I mean, I said, I usually say that artwork is one of the more important things that I like about the animes. Because I said, if it doesn't have good artwork, I generally get turned off, especially if the story doesn't grab me right away, but that's not always the case. I'll say that for Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, okay. I actually haven't watched that.
I know a lot of people like that series and that kind of stuff, but I had a hard problem getting started in that series because it just wasn't going well enough for me. I didn't really like how the characters were drawn. Just Yeah, whatever. So that's like that's kind of. But then there's other stories where like, like Initial D.
I love that, man.
I mean,
I love it.
In terms of female characters and that kind of stuff, that's probably the worst anime for that.
Yeah, it is.
Like, 'cause the female characters are drawn like guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably the worst. But in terms of the story, I mean, I got hooked in right away.
Yeah,
I figured
that's good.
how he's gonna win this, and oh my god, he beat the guy from whatever, gum tape battle and the whole thing, right?
It was good.
It was really exciting, and the music too. I mean, at that time I was really into that. All those dance music.
Yeah, that's
games.
how I kind of got into it too, as well too. But I didn't get to Para like you guys.
Okay, so as I mentioned in an earlier episode, the thing I like about Devilman Lady is that, again, well, first of all, actually, just to reiterate that, Go Guy does it, Devilman, and his original character designs, I just was not really interested in. I mean, sure, when he did like Cutie Honey, that's fine, but still, I didn't like how his face edge lines and that kind of stuff. I didn't really like his style, but that's just the character design style, right? Then along comes Devilman Lady, where again, this is the character design that is used on that one is a lot more more anime familiar. He doesn't do anything else, of course. The guy does a lot of other key animation and that kind of stuff. But he, as a character designer, Devilman Lady was his only thing that he did. But I really liked how the characters were drawn and how they were put into the story, and the fact that he uses the elements that were in the manga for Devilman in the Devilman Lady, but just with new looking characters. I mean, I guess this is the same way that Devilman Crybaby is, but the problem with Crybaby is that I thought even the character design even got worse, right? And one of the things that the watch Japanese animation for is for the visual appeal. Sure, again, just as I mentioned, there are shows like Initial D, which the character designs are horrible. I mean, ranks right up there with like Fists of the North Star, JoJo's, and what else? GTO is probably another one that really comes to mind, where the character designs aren't very good, especially for the female characters, which is most important for me. But there are certain things about them which have a really good, compelling story, which is enough to get me started and get me into the show. Okay, it is a bit of a hurdle. As I said, things like Fullmetal Alchemist and Seven Deadly Sins, even things like Attack on Titans, for example, is another one that comes to mind. If the story takes time to build up or whatever, and at the beginning there's nothing visually appealing for me to grasp onto, it may take me a bit, or for me to get into a particular show, and sometimes I may end up dropping it too early just because I just can't get into the characters, or I just don't care about the characters the way they're given to me at the beginning of the show. So that's just my personal take, but again, that's where I'm coming from when I talk about something like Devilman Lady.
A Record of Lotus War. You told me to watch that. I haven't watched it yet. I really should. I really should watch that.
Yeah. Cause I would think that I always tell people, because everyone recently is going all
Fantasy, right? Fantasy.
Well, no, fantasy, but everyone was all in arms about Goblin Slayer.
Oh yeah.
Because they had that weird race in the beginning, right? And they thought, oh, this is the worst anime ever. It's like whatever.
Check out Berserk.
It's like did you ever watch Berserk, man? Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, but and then everyone always starts talking about, oh yeah, the best sort of fantasy anime is Berserk and all the other stuff like that. But then that's why I started talking about other ones, which were more classical, and that's what I said. That's how I bring up Record Of Lotus. But I still think that's sort of the best view of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, that kind of story, right?
I really gotta check that out. I'm just gonna download it and watch it.
Yeah, because a lot of people think of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. They always think of the fighter, the elf, the dwarf, and that show just captures it really perfectly.
Oh. Yeah. How many episodes is it?
if you get the OVA series, it's like 13. It's
Only?
really short. Yeah.
Okay,
Really short.
I'll check it out then.
They made a TV series afterward, which is not as good because the main characters aren't in there as often as much. There's kind of cameos.
Okay.
But yeah, the 13 OVA series is nice and compact and action packed and
I'll
stories
go
really
remember to get that at home today, and then
So, on the topic of animes which are really good on the advanced Dungeons and Dragons sort of theme, I did make an episode a while back, actually, episode 56, which talks about the whole Goblin Slayer full right outrage or whatever you want that, and of course the very popular Berserk, and then of course leading on to the very classical concept and portrayal of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the romantic view of how we all view the game of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and of course as I always comment in the video, how something like Slayers ends up being the way that we play Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and a lot of the RPGs that we normally would play out an Advanced Dungeons and Dragons like story. Do have that if you had a chance to check that out. So yeah, those are sort of some suggestions that we were talking about in terms of what we might be interested in if you like that kind of a show.
and then there's a few things that you recommended to me that I didn't finish. I didn't finish Wolf's Rain. That was really boring.
Wolf's Rain is hard to get into because the fact that they're constantly switching, right? And it's the same story, but it's from different perspectives, and like so it takes you like almost 5 to 7 episodes to even just get the story moving.
I got to 3 or 4. I remember I rented a few from you, but I know I got to at least 3, and it was like mind-numbing. I couldn't.
Yeah, that was the main problem with that anime is the pace.
Yeah.
It seemed that the story was stuck for a while.
Yeah.
And I know why they did it, obviously, because they're trying to do the different points of view, from the human's point of view, from the wolf's point of view,
yeah.
and that kind of stuff. So I know that the story wasn't moving because of that, and that's why it took me a little while to get, even me get started on that. But,
And then
Okay, so for contextual reference, the anime I recommended was one called Wolf's Rain. And the really kind of the different thing about this one is it's the same story or same set of events, but it's told from different points of view from the different people that are in the story, right? So there's obviously the humans, there's the events that as thought by seen from the view of the wolves, and of course there's there's another one that's sort of like neither party is sort of the outside third party sort of view kind of thing, right? And so because they're kind of doing we're going to dedicate an episode for each sort of view, and then kind of go through the story that way. It may seem that the very story is it starts off really slow, right? Obviously because it's replaying something that we've already seen, and we thought we already kind of knew what was going on, but every time that you see the other perspective, a different kind of understanding comes out of the other thing. So it I say at the beginning it does take a little bit to get the story going, and to build the intrigue. But as I said, there's very few animes that are like that kind of do it that way. So it in that respect is kind of a little unique, and but it's definitely not for everyone. But definitely if you want to have something that's a little different to check out, at least in style of storytelling, that's one to check out. Something called Wolf's Rain.
And Fushugi Yugi was too long. I think I watched like 8 episodes. It was always like
Fushugi Yugi,
like literally.
I think would be probably only good. It would be better if they shrunk everything down to 24 episodes.
It was really long-winded and like love triangle, not like love quadrilogy or anything like that. It was like so many angles and everything.
Yeah, they have a lot of characters.
Yeah.
and you know, I know they did a lot of episodes where, hey, this episode's for you, so this is you building the character, or you know, whatever the background for this particular character. There's like so many of them.
There's like 40 something episodes, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, can't do that now.
Yeah, in the modern era, if they spread it up to like you know, half the episodes, then I think they you know, it's still a good anime for that. But you're right. You know, the era of like the humongously long running shows like One Piece and
Oh my god.
you know, Naruto.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's just it's you know,
You
can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Even Dragon Ball, you couldn't do that anymore.
Okay, so just to kind of clarify and alleviate that, you know, the formula for a lot of these new TV shows and that kind of stuff that are coming out are very, very short. It used to be that, you know, for example, if you had a show like, you know, Double Zeta Gundam, and you knew that you know, it was coming out, you pretty well knew that if you were signed up for a season, you were guaranteed, you know, 26 episodes, right? Full year season, you know, the two seasons of 13 would give you 26. So you pretty well much knew that you had that much. And if you knew that you got like another season on, then you knew that you could go up to, you know, the next season, which will bring up your total, you know, episode count to another 26 episodes. So that's what a lot of shows, let's say for example Gundam, first Gundam gave you 50 episodes. First Gundam gave you 43. Zeta Gundam gave you 50. Double Zeta Gundam gave you 47, right? Same thing with a lot of you know, like serial TV shows at this time. Orange Road, 2 sets of 26 gave you 48. Maison Akaku had multiple seasons, but again, they were all guaranteed to be in a row, and you know, you had to, they gave you 96 episodes to work with. But you know, so in the modern day, you know, that window is no longer guaranteed. Like, you know, the era of, hey, you're going to get a TV show, we're going to give you 26 episodes to make your TV show. That doesn't exist anymore. It gets to a point where, you know, you got a show which will probably give you 12 episodes in a season, right? So not even a full season of 26. They'll only give you 12. Okay, and it used to be the episode 13 was the filler episode, so you get 12 episodes, and then you try to leave it on a cliffhanger on 12. So then 13 would be half the episode. The first, you know, up to the first commercial break would be kind of summary of the first 12 episodes, and then last. I guess this is the last second half of the episode 13 would be what's new. Okay, so so it's only like, you know, maybe a 10-minute episode, if anything, for that to continue the next part of the season, right? So obviously that's now gone, right? So now, because they got to a point where they can't be wasting episodes, you know, doing the character per episode type of thing, or whatever. They need to be able to, you know, very quickly capture the interest of the unassuming anime fan, and basically get them interested in the story so that they'll come back and watch the next episode, and then basically watch it episodically. If the show isn't showing results right away, they could very easily be canceled by episode 4 or by 6 or whatever, and then that would be the end of it. And unfortunately, with this quick sort of, you know, trial by error, almost trial by fire, if you will, kind of method of anime, you know, releasing, and, you know, and is it more concerned about anime content and views and clicks and that, and, you know, immediate sales numbers. You know, the whole idea of creativity and you know, writing the proper story arc and all that kind of stuff has now kind of gone out the window, and now that's sort of, you know, it's really difficult to have, you know, artist control, or, you know, story writing control, when the anime is so much is, you know, too controlled by a committee, or by you know, by a consortium, or by, you know, by some sort of you know, team. Okay, because everyone has to have their input. Everyone, putting their, whatever their agendas are forward, and their goals forward, as opposed to everyone else's, or leaving it free to the manga artist, or the character, um, you know, designers and that kind of stuff to fully flesh out a particular story. So again, it's not to say that you couldn't have long shows like Naruto and all that kind of stuff. It's just that they have to be constantly being renewed and picked up again for the next season and next season onwards. And they may skip a couple between story arcs and that kind of stuff, and re-bring them back again. So that's why we have the original arc, story arc for Naruto, and then Shippuden, and then etc. etc. Right? So they could do it that way, where they just keep releasing more and more, after breaks and that kind of stuff. Which is, I guess that's what things like TV shows like Lost, for example, did. They left a lot of people at cliffhangers and that kind of stuff until they could make more episodes. But that seems to be the new model that anime is now following.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We used to have a lot more proliferation in that, but not anymore. It's just it's the anime companies are so much more cautious now about releasing stuff. I don't think they're hitting the same. It's really strange. I think anime is probably as big as it ever was in terms of audience following and that kind of stuff. But I think the merchandising and the merchandise that's out there is nowhere near the same. You know what I mean?
Well, I agree with you, but there's so many things that, because when me and you were in it, an art book, that was it. That was
yeah.
If you got an art book, you were lucky. That was it, and they took forever to come
get
in and everything like that.
Get and a few things. Well, that's the thing. I think the few things that we had, or that we could get, we're that much more special. I think because of the fact that this is the only out there. Now I think there's so much stuff that's out there. You're right. There's anyone can go and pick any sort of genre and that kind of stuff, and there's I guess we almost have 40 years of anime to choose and pick from. Where we've never had that before. But at the same time, I don't think and this is right. This is why it comes into going. We probably have just as many, or as if not more, anime fans than we've ever had. But we don't seem to have the same amount of merchandise, and stuff and whatever available that like we had before. Because you remember we used to have a time where 2008 or 2009 or whatever. I mean, I guess the way we consume media and that is different than that. But we had anime on TV. We had the Cartoon Network and the Toonami and whatever.
Toonami, YTV,
and it was on YTV.
Yeah.
But it's not like that anymore. We used to be able to go to Best Buy, and there'd be a whole section of that. We could go into and that section's now mixed in with all the other animation Disney stuff now. And you go into I remember going into chapters, and it'd be always filled with high school kids, sitting there reading all the manga.
Oh yeah, the manga section.
And the manga section would be multiple aisles long, but they'd be all full of kids just picking up their whatever and then reading it. And I can still go to I can go to the library right now
and borrow library.
They actually have manga. What they call the teen section, the juvenile read section, and that's all full of mangas and that kind of stuff. Albeit a little bit out of date. I'm sitting there going, do people even read Karo no Go anymore? Jeez. Things like this, but I think as popular as it is, I don't know if the companies are willing to take as much risk and try to get into some of the stuff that's out nowadays.
All right. I hope you had kind of fun and a little blast from the past. And don't forget, I'll be doing more kind of episodes where I bring out some pictures and more merchandise and collectible stuff from that past era. Okay. So, until next time, see you again.